at 11. The fight for justice is not over after today's not guilty verdict for 2 IMPD officers. What advocates are saying about the need for immediate reform.
Another cold night, lows in the teens, but a weekend warm up on the way. How many days in the 50s?
And the Ducks and Nittany Lions are taking over downtown Indy this weekend. We're catching up with fans excited to be in town for championship weekend. Live from Indy, you're watching 13 News. Oh, tonight, the community is reacting after 2 IMPD officers were found not guilty in the death of Herman Whitfield III. Logan Gay spoke with the president of the organization and shares what they would like to see happen next.
In reality, there are no winners in this particular situation. Nobody really won. It's really just devastation on all sides.
Reverend David Green Sr. with Concerned Clergy of Indianapolis says he's disappointed but not surprised by Friday's not guilty verdict.
Very rarely has there been justice for the community side of it, which fuels why the community lacks trust in the public safety system or in the criminal justice system, because they look at some of these things that had a lot of video to it and audio and say, now how do we draw this conclusion?
Adam Ahmad and Steven Sanchez were indicted on charges of reckless homicide, involuntary manslaughter, and battery by a grand jury in the death of Herman Whitfield III in April 2022. The 39-year-old died during a struggle with IMPD officers at his home. Whitfield's family said they called police for help because Whitfield was having a mental health crisis. Police tased and restrained Whitfield before he died.
I don't think you should die just because you had a mental health challenge.
The officer's attorney, John Councilman, says although it's tragic that Whitfield died, he believes it's also tragic that the state moved this case forward.
The evidence just was crystal clear that they did the best they could under difficult circumstances to follow their policies, to follow the law, and to try to help this person. It's a tragedy when someone has a heart attack in the course of tussling with the police, but it doesn't mean that the police did anything wrong.
Green says he's been following the case from the beginning and knows the Whitfield family. He says they're devastated.
Our heartfelt prayers and condolences goes out to them, sympathy for having to replay this, but doing the right thing by standing up, wanting to see justice, and encouraging them still to keep the faith.
He says now moving forward, law enforcement and the community both have work to do when it comes to building trust and handling mental health issues.
We have to find a way to hold officers accountable in situations that involve mental health, getting proper resources out there, ensuring that officers are trained.
Because he says the goal is for everyone to go home safely. In Indianapolis, Logan Gay, 13 News.
And then IMPD Police Chief Chris Bailey sent this statement to 13 News after the verdict, calling mental health a complicated and sensitive topic. And he goes on to say, quote, in part, law enforcement alone should not bear the responsibility of responding to situations involving individuals experiencing a mental health crisis. And tonight, a man is awaiting his sentencing after a jury found him guilty in his ex-wife's murder. Caesar Curtis was arrested last September after Marsha Curtis's body was found on an abandoned property in Muncie. She had been missing for about 2 weeks. Caesar Curtis admitted to being a habitual offender after the verdict was returned. He faces 45 to 85 years in prison. His sentencing is scheduled for January 8th. And attorneys for Joseph Corcoran filed a new motion today hoping to put off his execution. They say the judge in the case, Fran Gull, erred on all counts when she denied an earlier motion to vacate his execution orders from 20 years ago. Gull's ruling says his attorneys did not present new evidence, extraordinary circumstances, or changes in law. Corcoran was convicted in 1997 in Fort Wayne of murdering 4 people, including his brother, his sister's fiance, and their friends. He is scheduled to be executed before sunrise on December 18th. Let's check in with Angela.
Hey Felicia, under clear skies, it's another cold night across central Indiana. Temperatures down into the 20s. We have 24 Kokomo and Indianapolis, 26 Bloomington and Muncie, and currently 23 in Richmond. Factor in a little bit of a wind chills are running in the teens, and we are expecting upper teens and low 20s early tomorrow morning. The good news, the warm up that started today will continue into the weekend, low 40s tomorrow.
And we're getting reaction tonight after IMPD officers approved a historic salary increase. The pay increase comes as the department sees a critical need for officers. So we've reported in the past about the city's struggle to hire and retain officers. Well, in this new agreement, they will increase the average salary for officers by 24% over 4 years. Indy's FOP president hopes the new contract will change that.
I think what it'll do is exactly what we've been trying to achieve, which is to stop the bleed of the officers leaving. And then by doing that, it gives us the room and the ability to focus on now bringing in new officers into the door.
And clarifying, he hopes this will help keep and hire more officers. And the Rules and Public Policy Committee will be notified of the agreement later this month before it can take effect in January. And police now believe a person of interest in the murder of a healthcare CEO has fled New York City. Investigators say they have evidence putting the suspect in a taxi, taking him to a bus terminal. Sherelle Hubbard has the latest on the manhunt.
New York police are hot on the trail of a gunman who fatally shot United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson this week.
We do have a person of interest in the case.
Our detectives are doing a very, very extensive video canvass.
A trail of surveillance camera sightings authorities believe show the suspect before and after the shooting are helping investigators to piece the puzzle together.
We have our perpetrator leaves the Hilton Hotel after the incident takes place. We have them getting on a bicycle and riding into Central Park. We then later pick him up on 77th Street, exiting the park on Central Park West, still with the bicycle.
Some items believed to be dropped by the gunman, a backpack, a burner phone, and water bottle could possibly provide DNA evidence, in addition to various modes of transportation, once used to get away, may provide clues to a capture.
He loses the bike. And then from there, we have him in a taxi cab, and the taxi cab takes him up to 178th Street and Broadway, which, as we know, is a Port Authority bus center. Those buses are interstate buses.
That's why investigators believe the person of interest has left New York.
Expanding the reach of this investigation into other parts of this country is really going to provide more clues.
Police say the suspect used a fake New Jersey driver's license to check into a hostel after arriving in New York by bus 10 days before the shooting. They are hopeful that a flirtatious smile with a front desk clerk at that Upper West Side hostel will lead them to an arrest. I'm Sherelle Hubbard reporting.
And police are also searching for the backpack the suspect was seen wearing on surveillance cameras before and during the shooting. It was missing in images taken later, leading investigators to believe the gunman tossed it away. Here's a look at the other stories making headlines tonight. We now know the name of the man who was killed in a shooting last night at a Lafayette laundromat. 35-year-old Keith Ford died in the shooting, while another man and woman are in stable condition. Police say the shooter is from Lincoln, Nebraska, and is in critical condition. They say he shot himself. Around 7:40 last night, that's when police got a call about a man with a gun inside Lafayette Laundry. That's when officers arrived and they found that 4 people were shot, including the shooter. Also, a Metro police officer is in the hospital tonight after a crash on the northwest side. IMPD tells us 3 cars were involved in the crash at West 56 and Moeller Road this afternoon. The witnesses at the scene told our crew the officer ran a red light, hitting 2 other cars. They say the officer's car then went off the road and hit a tree. First responders then had to extract the officer from his car. The officer is expected to recover from their injuries. The other 2 drivers were not hurt. An investigation also continues after a crash near the airport. We're told a charter bus and 2 cars crashed at West Washington and South Burke Streets just after 2 p.m. No passengers were on the bus and the driver was not hurt. However, drivers in both cars were injured and taken to the hospital. It took crews nearly an hour to free one of the drivers. Eli Lilly is investing $3 billion in efforts to expand a newly acquired manufacturing facility in Wisconsin. The foundation says the expansion will extend the company's global manufacturing network. This move comes as demand increases for Lilly's medications to treat diabetes and obesity. The facility will focus on production of injectable medicines. Remember, you can find all the day's local and national headlines at any time on WTHR.com, the 13 News app, and our streaming 24/7 on WTHR+. Well, tonight, downtown Indy is filled with Oregon and Penn State fans. They're in town for tomorrow's Big Ten championship. And we were at the airport today as fans of both teams arrived. Several Ducks fans arrived on direct flights from Oregon. Southwest, Delta, and United Airlines all added specialty flights for championship weekend. And we caught up with one Ducks fan excited to be in Indy for the team's first Big Ten championship game.
Telling you, it's incredible. I'm just going to ride it as long as I can. I mean, I'm here to support the team. You know, love what Dan Lanning has done with everything. Yeah, you know, next step, there's more games to be played.
Man, you can really see that green coming. There are still tickets available for tomorrow's game. You can also check out Tailgate Town. This year, it is being moved to South Street outside of Lucas Oil Stadium instead of Georgia Street. Prosecutors in New York take a major charge off the table in the trial over a man's death on the subway. Which charges jurors are still considering?
It's going to be a warm weekend, but I'm also looking ahead to our next rain and snow chances in your forecast.
And tomorrow marks 83 years since the attack on Pearl Harbor. Meet the one special guest who just arrived for the remembrance.